Good morning and welcome to Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. Today we are going to cover 9 tips for dealing with and supporting a heroin addict in your household without enabling them. That is today's topic. First, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ralf Friedrichs. I am an addiction recovery coach and the host of this show called Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. Let me share this with you folks about substance abuse, and let me be crystal clear. I want to leave an everlasting impression upon you all. Imagine you've been buried alive. Let's say you know you're in a coffin. You don't know how to open that coffin, but you also know that you are alive and death will certainly come your way. You think about giving up and you just lay there waiting for death to arrive. But you also think about banging on the coffin that maybe you can unsettle the dirt upon the lid, and then maybe, just maybe, somebody might hear you and start digging down to help you. This is what it's like to find yourself in the lowest point of alcohol addiction. You know you can't do it completely on your own. You don't know how to get help, but you just keep on trying. In reality, there are people who can help you standing right nearby, but you just don't know it. You think you're going to die there. Usually, though, people don't think of death when they're habitually using drugs. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be good at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind by abusing drugs and alcohol that you will, more than likely, overdose? With this, I leave you one other thought. Don't be that person in the coffin banging on the lid for someone to hear you. Make that first step, take that first step, and call the Take Your Life Back Today show at 1-844-405-HELP, and I will help you take your life back before your life is gone. Remember that a sober today promises a better tomorrow. That is a guarantee. If you go with the analogy of 24 hours at a time, it does work. I want to give a shout out to Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. 516-485-2741. That's 516-485-2741. Larry Geis is an addiction recovery coach. He will help you from your addiction to your recovery. You can utilize him as a bridge between the two, and then when you're at your recovery and you're going through your recovery, he will guide and direct you. Larry Geis, as I, never ever bring up your past. Yesterday is gone, folks. It doesn't matter where you've been. What does matter is where you're going tomorrow. Give him a call, Larry Geis from the Geis Academy at 516-485-2741, and tell him you heard about him on the Take Your Life Back Today show. Also, you can find him on the internet if you go to www.odysseyconsultant.org. GlobalEyeglasses.com. They are focused on saving you money, folks. If you want a great selection on frames, all you need to do is go to www.globaleyeglasses.com. They have metal, plastic frames. They have them for ladies, for men, and for children. Now, when it comes to the lenses, you have the same amount of options that you would find in your freestanding brick and mortar little location in your hometown. If you need progressive no-line bifocals, they have them. If you need line bifocals, they have them. If you need distance or reading, they have them. If you want your lenses to become thinner, they have them. If you want your lenses to change outdoors when you go out and become clear when you go back in, they have them. Transitions and photochromatics are available. If you want polarized or tinted lenses, they have them. If you need night driving anti-reflecting coating on your lenses, they have it. This is all available at globaleyeglasses.com. Go to www.globaleyeglasses.com and let them focus on saving you money. 9 tips for dealing with and supporting a heroin addict in your household without enabling. Enabling is the worst thing that you can do with any addict, whether it's alcohol or drug related. When it comes to dealing with your loved one's addiction, the first year is often the worst year. You feel like an unwanted adventure into the unknown, a journey on the dark and dangerous road that intersects with emotions such as fear, anger, worry, and guilt. Even when you force yourself to change direction, your life has been derailed and will take time to recover from the detour. These are the 9 tips that I want to give to you wherever you might be. Hold on one second, let me just straighten this out. Okay. Number 1 is learn all you can. I always say educate yourself. I educate myself 24/7 on addiction and recovery. Learn all you can. Research heroin addiction so that you can understand how and why it affects your loved ones so dearly. Know the signs. Look for the telltale items if your addict is living in your home. Certain household items take a new meaning, like aluminum foil, spoons, shoestrings, black smudges around the house. These are all signs that you, my friend, need to learn. Number 2, pay attention to their cycle. The most important thing to know is heroin is highly addictive and creates a physical dependence. In other words, when using becomes habitual, the body needs more and more of the drug to get high, and at some point it is needed just to feel normal. An addict who does not get his daily use, or otherwise known as dose, of opiates will begin to suffer what quote-unquote is considered dope sickness, which causes pain in the muscles. Sometimes it also has a feeling of crawling under the skin, some addicts will tell you. Vomiting, diarrhea, insomnia, sweats, and many more items. Number 3 is get support for yourself from others who understand. There is the traditional support. Thousands have found support through Al-Anon or Non-Anon. Through Al-Anon focuses on families of alcoholics. The principles are the same. Many of my friends have learned to cope with addiction in their families as a result of Al-Anon. Also, Al-Anon and Non-Anon, they are pretty much also drug related, but if you just have alcohol issues, you can also utilize AA. Another method is the new wave of support, which is through the blogging and internet communities. Quite helpful. In the beginning, I utilized that. What has helped me the most is a blogging community of other folks just like myself. It is developed spontaneously and is nothing official. They are a group of people like you and me who randomly found each other via blogs. I've learned more from them in the beginning and gained more support from them than I did from the local AA meetings. Number 4, understand the addiction is a disease. Understand the addiction is a disease. This concept was very hard for me to come to terms with. I thought, of course, addiction is not a disease, it's a choice, which is what I thought. But then I found out that people just get into this mess due to something, whether it's psychological or something in their genes. Calling it a disease seems like an excuse, as is something that a person chooses. But this is a disease like diabetes and cancer. Addiction is a choice you make for yourself, right? Not so. It's a choice to try the drugs, but it's not a choice to become addicted to them. Many people use drugs recreationally, and although illegally, they maintain their normal lives. Unfortunately, heroin is so highly addictive that you can become addicted after just one little use. Once you have the disease, it becomes all-consuming, and your life revolves around getting the money for the drugs, getting the drugs, using the drugs, all while getting caught. Or I should say, all while not getting caught. Then when the drugs are used up, the process starts itself over a day after day after day. So there are similarities to cancer and diabetes, and it's not a deliberate choice that any person makes. Number 5, accept others' lack of empathy for addiction in general. This seems harsh, but when a disease is addiction, there is very little sympathy or support from anyone. There are races for the cure for cancer, fundraisers, tons of research being done, but addicts' lives are affected at the core level of of their being and they are often treated like common criminals and shunned by society, often thrown in jail. Can you imagine throwing people in jail when they have a disease like cancer and diabetes? Well, drug addicts, when they get caught doing their drugs, because it is addictive and because it is their own disease, they get thrown into jail. You know, it's easy for people to point a finger if they don't know what the exact cause is. Number 6, understanding the addiction is a family disease. Another characteristic of addiction that makes it so devastating is that it affects everyone in its path. It's like a tornado. If you are close to it, it can hurt you in some way. There are people that always have been honest and trustworthy in their regular life, and then when this disease took over, that honesty and that trustworthiness went out the window because they needed to feed their addiction. When heroin became the main reason for living in a lot of people's lives, as it does for all the other heroin addicts, people become unrecognizable to you and to me. Unlike meth addicts, they look the same on the outside, but on the inside, you don't know this person anymore when they're using heroin. Number 7, do not blame yourself. As parents, we wonder, or as friends, parents, friends, grandparents, we wonder, where did we go wrong when our children are abusing heroin? Please, please skip walking down this path. Addicts come from all walks of life and from all types of families. Number 8, the E word. One thing you will never hear, one thing you will hear over and over again is do not enable. Do not enable the addict. This can be confusing. What exactly does that mean? I'd say enable is the concept where the carries the most controversy among the families of addicts. Some parents choose to do nothing, believing that if the addict is out on the street, they will hit rock bottom and choose to finally get better. This does work for some. I talked to a homeless guy recently that said the best thing his parents ever did for him was kick him out of the house because he was forced to stop using drugs because he couldn't get money from anywhere. I mean, personally, enabling means not doing anything for anyone that is capable of doing for themselves. Number 9 is a huge one, and that one is never lose hope. There's a saying among parents of heroin addicts and friends and grandparents: as long as he or she is breathing, there is hope. And how true that is. During the first year of many people's journey, they are angry every time someone goes to a meeting with them to actually support them. I was angry every time I went to a meeting or a family group because I was consistently heard the same thing: relapse is a part of recovery. In my mind, someone should have been treated and gotten better. It's amazing to me now that I thought it was so simple. So when you hear about someone in their 3rd rehab, or they are in jail again, or that they have 8 months clean and relapse, consider it a part of the process. It makes me really annoyed because when we give that flexibility to tell someone that if you relapse, it's okay, get back up. It's almost to the point like we're giving a free pass, folks. In the beginning, yes, people will relapse, but we can't utilize that analogy over and over down the road for each and every person. We can't do that. What we have to do is say, okay, you might relapse in the beginning, maybe the first 2 times, maybe even 3 times, but when you're 8 months to a year into it, relapse should be unacceptable. Don't let this discourage you, because each day in treatment or in jail or not using is just one more day in the right directions, is how I feel. It may be 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but the progress is being made. In a nutshell, the first year will be difficult for anyone that will try to become clean from heroin. But if you arm yourself with knowledge, get support, embrace the disease concept, guard against enabling, And never ever give up hope. You will be able to walk this path better prepared and hopefully avoid some pitfalls. Folks, these are the 9 tips for dealing with supporting a heroin addict in your household without enabling them. When it comes to dealing with your loved one's addiction, the first year is often the worst ever. It feels like an unwanted adventure into the unknown, a journey on a dark and dangerous road that intersects with emotions such as fear, anger, worry, and guilt. Even when you force yourself to change direction, your life has been derailed, and it will take time to recover. Here are the 9 steps really quick one more time. Number 1 is learn all you can. Each and every show that I have done, and I'm going back now 650 shows, I have always emphasized that educating yourself on the disease, whether it be alcoholism or drug addiction, is a great tool to go by throughout, whether it's your own recovery or someone that you dearly love or a good friend. Educating yourself is so important in anything you do in life. So learn all you can about the drug or the addiction. Number 2 is pay attention to their cycle. When you start seeing at home things like pain in the muscles constantly, when they complain about crawling under the skin, if you notice them vomiting and diarrhea, insomnia, sweats, and many other things, those are cycles that you want to be aware of. Get support for yourself from others who understand. You have your traditional ones, which is your AAs, your Al-Anons, and then you also have something in the last maybe 5 to 6 years, like anything else that has become an internet sensation. There are many blogs. There's actually an AA online group that you could utilize. After I didn't want to go to AA anymore, I started utilizing the online support. There are also blogging communities. Number 4 is understanding the addiction is a disease. Remember, people might make a choice to try the drug, maybe once, maybe twice, but when they habitually start using it, and they start depending on it, and they start stealing, and they start being there is no trust anymore, then they have the disease. Like cancer, like diabetes, drug addiction, alcoholism is a disease. Unlike cancer, unlike diabetes, we don't throw the people into jail for that disease. However, people that have drug addiction and alcoholics are pretty much looked at as criminals, are thrown in jail. And I can understand if you're thrown in jail for committing the crime of hurting someone, but when you're caught with heroin in your pocket, you are thrown in jail. That's like a person that goes to chemo gets thrown in jail, or a person that's caught with medication for diabetes getting caught. I am not condoning drug addiction or alcoholism. I am saying we need to understand it. Number 5 is accept others' lack of empathy for addiction in general. This seems harsh, but when a disease is addiction, there is very little sympathy or support from anyone. There are races for cure for cancer, fundraisers, tons of research being done for all other diseases, but addicts' lives are affected at the core level of their being, and they are often treated like common criminals and shunned by society. It's that simple. Number 6, understand the addiction is a family disease. Understand another characteristic of addiction that makes it so devastating is it affects everyone in its path. When you have someone living in your house that has a heroin problem or just alcoholics, it's not just their disease. It becomes everybody's disease within the family because everybody in the household is affected. Number 7 is do not blame yourself. As parents, grandparents, legal guardians, we wonder, where did we go wrong? Please, and I beg, please skip walking down this path. Addicts come from all walks of life, from all types of families, rich or poor. The E word. One thing you'll hear over and over again is do not enable the addict. This can be confusing. What exactly does that even mean? I'd say enabling is the concept that carries the most controversy among the families of addicts. Some parents choose to do nothing, believing that if the addict is on the street, they will hit rock bottom and finally choose to become better. I ran into a homeless person that thanked his parents for kicking him out of the house because this is how he couldn't afford anything, and he found solitude in becoming better. Last but not least is never lose hope. There is a saying among parents, grandparents, and legal guardians of heroin addicts: as long as he or she is breathing, there is hope. And how true that is, because as long as your loved one is still around, breathing, you still have a chance to save them. Folks, it's in a nutshell. The first year will be the most difficult, but if you arm yourself with the knowledge, get support, embrace the disease concept, guard against enable, and never give up hope, you will be able to walk this path better prepared and hopefully avoid the pitfalls of what this disease comes with. If you remember that a sober today, whether it's sober being from alcohol, heroin, or any other drug, a sober today promises a better tomorrow, because you are stopping just for this 24 hours of putting anything lethal into your body. And for you folks that might question me about that alcohol being lethal, it is lethal. Not only is it lethal to your body, it becomes lethal when you get behind the wheel, because now you have a lethal weapon to kill someone else. Remember, all the changes that we speak about in every video that I do all start with small steps. In order to cross the road from one side to the other, you don't make one big leap. You cross that road step by step. And that's how you have to treat changes in your own life. Remember, positive thinking gives positive results. Teach your children to say no to drugs and alcohol. And I hope wherever you folks are, watching me in the audience, wherever you might be, homeless shelter, incarcerated, nursing home, your living room or your kitchen, that you have the best day of your life. But I hope and I pray each and every time I do this show that no matter who's watching me, no matter where you're watching me, that you all have a sober rest of your life, and may God bless you.